All right, good afternoon. We are back for the last stretch. It won't be a long one because majority of you have already presented. Peter Boa, you've been next. Wow, are we set there? Okay. Peter, you can take your you are beginning, it's exactly 4:30 and you have 10 minutes. Good afternoon.
Tests of intelligence, the choice of this topic and the is because of the significance of productivity. Economic growth is the value which are produced in an economic in Nigeria. Service is defined as the remainder of income that you have spending on your household expenses. So this independence, we're gonna experience a transformation that we have in economic growth. This has been commendable, but there have been periods of stagnation. Since before there have been periods of stagnation. For example, when we look at GDP per capita in 1960 and 1995, there is a decline by about half. So there have been a number of reasons. That said, accumulation of financial capital has been highlighted as one of the factors that influence growth to some degree. Since when savings increase, this capital formation eventually increases investment and increases the production of goods and services. This paper is based on literature and empirical study, seeks to establish a relationship between savings and economic growth and proposes steps to be taken towards change. We can go on to the next one. Like we all know, Uganda's economy is growing steadily. According as we have seen in the figures that have been by the respective agencies, that even in times where we expected the growth to come down, the growth has still been going up. But this growth has not been commensurate with the increase in population. That is why I raised the aspect of GDP per capita. So it leaves us with the problem. How can we ensure that economic growth is maintained at an optimal level year in, year out? So here we say this case will explore a perspective of other researchers about increasing service as we did to increase economic growth in different parts of the world, especially in Africa and Asia. Objectives of the study. The main objective of the project is to establish the impact of domestic service on economic growth and development. Specific objectives to examine the patterns of household savings, to examine the patterns of economic growth, and to analyze the relationship between savings and economic growth and development. The methodology applied is a mixed approach used to analyze data, both qualitative and quantitative. Data that is obtained from World Economic Database, the World Bank, on savings and and economic growth figures since between 2000 and 2022, in the year 2000 and 2022. So analysis will be done using Excel, and correlation between the two variables will be established. Okay, so when we look at this visualization, when you look at the first chart, this chart shows the trends in both GDP and savings between the year 2000 and the year 2022. As we can see, GDP has been growing and savings has been growing as well. Although the GDP growth has been slower, and the savings growth has been not the best way to describe that movement, but has been up and down. Yeah. The second chart shows the correlation between GDP and annual growth. That is positive, which correlation is explained by that equation. I think you can go on to the next part where we see the results. So you can see that the series data collected between that period show the positive correlation between the savings rate and the rate of economic growth, which is an indicator that as the economy grew, there was a resultant increase in the economic growth. The model that was generated as a result to just be an illustration of the line that was shown there, indicated that $1 billion increase in growth in savings resulted in an increase in economic growth in production by $2.587 billion. So when we move on to the conclusion and recommendation areas for further research, the results show the positive correlation between the two variables. Therefore, the validity of the basic hypothesis of research, that is, the level of domestic savings is important and positive to achieve growth rates in Ibadan and Uganda. This is because for a country like Uganda and for an area like Ibadan that is slightly informal, we've been able to increase the production of goods and services in that informal sector. And there is need to accumulate the required amount of savings that is affordable, that will contribute to capital that can be used for investment, thereby increasing on productivity. There is a need to increase per capita national income by reducing the phenomenon of poverty and unemployment, rationalize consumption, strengthening bank savings products awareness, combat hoarding, and encourage savings to support. Insurance savings awareness products can also be used to raise capital. Because when one person saves, saving doesn't necessarily mean you're the one to save in order to use the money. Someone else can save in order for you to use them. But that availability of the capital is very important. Encouraging transfer of savings of citizens working abroad. Foreign transfer, yeah, you can encourage that as well. Increase the amount of savings, saving for political stability, more. Also not there that more research has to be done on other factors, because there are a number of other factors that influence growth. But because of the limited data we have on the other factors, the analysis has been done only basing on savings. So the references, this is just a sample. This is just a sample of references that were used to be able to come up with some of the some of this work. Yeah, although the main report has followed. So I think that is it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Wow. Could you go back to your title? Good. The impact of household savings on economic growth in Mbale. Survived by Professor Peter Lating. Okay. The ground is open for those of us who are here, but I'll start with people online. Peace, if you're there, then I'll probably ask Professor Bayat.
Yes, thank you very much. So I like the title here, and generally I also like the flow of the presentation. And again, I will comment on the method that was used for the analysis. Can you please go to the methodology and also the output? Yes, so in this particular case, I'd like to comment that the method that was used, which is the regression, which in this case is the bivariate, is able to capture this relationship well enough. And what I wanted to see was the p-value of this relationship here, which I haven't seen. That would guide me in understanding the strength of the relationship between GDP and savings. Otherwise, this is well presented, and I have no other comments.
Thank you very much. Please, Professor Bayat, are you on?
Yes, I am on. I think from my side, it's been a recurring issue, and I'm not sure if it was covered. But again, it's about the theoretical framework groundwork. It's not too clear for me as well, but perhaps it was covered. And then also the limitations of the study, it hasn't come out quite clear. And I think further to what was just said by the previous speaker, I just want to a bit more clarification, and perhaps it should be dealt with as just a correction in a document as to why the mixed method study was utilized as well. But otherwise, in terms of the analysis and interpretation, everything seems in order, and it's a good study.
Thank you so much. I think something that has been recurrent for almost most of our papers today is the theory, issues of theoretical groundings. We need to look at that. Yes, Fred?
Thank you. Mine is on your references. You see, you're dealing with something that is current. And when you look at most of the articles that you reference here, 1971, 2015, at least it would have been better to look at something not more than 5 years ago. I can only see one in 2022. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's also true. Anybody else? Before I can come back to the panel. Yes, Mr. Kinyera. Mr. Kinyera, you may need to speak up. We have people joining us online and are listening.
What has left in your key findings, your conclusion. And when you mentioned something with $1 billion, is it that God $1 billion? That is God. Are you sure? It's not $1 billion is in terms of 1 billion percent. So that's my concern. Because you must be absolutely clear there. By how many billions? From this point to this point. So if there's one something billion, or just $1 billion. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think re-emphasizing the aspect of being very particular when you're doing studies, I think this is something that we shall put and someone may quote or use for reference. So we need to be very specific and exact. I'm going to come back to Madam Helen, then Professor Lating.
Thank you so much. Peter, for this presentation. I have a comment on the work. You mentioned information, but never the study was in the And what we're making the presentation, we were not able to activate our interpretation. So in some areas, because we're saying this was presented like that, so at least we need to improve on that. The picture presentation. Otherwise, all the positive items in your presentation.
Yes. Thank you, Professor Lecheng.
Because from there, you see you talk general, and then by the way, yes, all those videos are they from about the back or by the city. Because I'm not sure about all that. By the city, why this video come and when you go to the city.
All right, it's okay. So Peter, something to look out for. Confirm whether these billions are just Mbale City, or you, again, if it's clarified, then it's okay, you can ignore it. But if this data is specific to Mbale City, certainly you might have used secondary data you mentioned. Okay. Oh, this is Uganda as a whole. So what implication would it have? Because we look at Uganda, what implication would it have generally? And how do we now come back to the context of Mbale? Okay, in the interest of time, I'll not let you respond. Just if you can, let's see, you would, the next one, let us just think about it so that when you present your paper, we have it properly tied up. But otherwise, thank you very much and congratulations. I think we appreciate this. Thank you. Our next presenter will be from Strategic Management and Leadership. Wakaraji. Oh, Wakaraji is not from science. BAA, no, it has to be a person from Strategic Management. Carlo Gera Alex. Yeah. Or Alex, let us let Wakaraj supervisor is here and he has to go to a class. Just let him do that after to be you. Just yes, bear with us. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Of me because I'm here. So my topic of presentation is on financial management practices and performance of savings in credit cooperative societies in good city. A case study of that workers movement, which is the technology. This in short form is called circles, which in our local language is common potato kind of group, of which I know most of us we might be one of them. The background to my study, this phenomenon of circles started way back in 1846 in Germany at the time of the cultural crisis. No, this was the time of war, World War period. So there was need to provide people and accessible financial services to the people that time. So based on the community circles in Germany, there was need to reduce, because at that time there was a lot of suffering people, so there was need how they can raise up people from that standard of living, how they can raise that standard of living to be at least somewhere. That's why they introduced this kind of stuff. So in 1970s, you see, because everything depends on the performance, and for you to perform, there is need for scale in that thing. So there was interest that came up on the performance after we can go to this sample, how they can rate their workloads. And that one came up in 1970s. So where they brought up experts now to try to transform these samples into performing financial cooperative enterprises. Small about that workers movement. These are movements started in 1995. Basically, these are charitable movements which was started to help the poor, whereby this movement they collect the resources they have, and they help the poor with. It started in Germany, then in Uganda, because it was first introduced in Masaka diocese. Then now it spread all over the diocese. Then this movement in Uganda, they have put themselves into place. That's why, as we proceed, you see that where a faith calls and mouth is first group, that is that particular kind of the grouping they have put. So, problem statement, not anything to do with finance, the problem or the issues that will come is how to handle cash. And if I'm not mistaken, all of us have covered these political these circles. Most of them they raise complaints, but finance, maybe mismanagement, how to use it. And that is the challenge that is affecting most of the countries. So there is need for effective management skills to contribute to the growth of these circles. And as I said, these skills will come up from the performance, how the circle is performing. So studies have shown that this circle faces a lot of challenges, like shortage of critical capital, regular savings, like some members may say things, do some saving this week, that next week is not there. That is being irregular. And also, in that settings, there is always giving up loan to members. But now, how often those ones that have been given loan, how do they bring it back? So, one of them is weak recovery of the loans. Then also, corporations, because the money they collect, they are supposed to bank it, or like in my case, in my finding, we can see that this amount is best to, they still use this traditional kind of saving. It's called cash bow. I know most of you, whereby they don't have an account with the bank. So in that savings, the money they collect, there is a central point where they keep it. So with this, we want to see how this group they can manage their finance. They can manage their finance with the financial performance with the system they have at hand. So this is what is going to lead us to establish the impact financial management practices on the support performance in relation to some Maoris. So my major objective is to explore the impact.
Move faster, you have the 3 minutes.
My major objective is to explore the impact of financial management practices on the performance of the support. Then the specific one is on the impact of cash management with the performance. Then the second one, impact of credit risk management. Then the third one, impact of financial planning. These specific objectives, from my framework, these are my independent variables for which they are going to match with the revenue report and the performance. So methodology, I've used a quantitative method whereby I decided to organize interview, which quite often I've been going to them during that sitting. Then after that sitting, well, I have some time with selected members, of which most of them they were willing to be interviewed, but because of the time frame, I managed to get reports from Audit Review 28. The total number of the members is 60, but I managed to get 28 respondents. So my presentation, first on the cash management, I found out that most of their income comes from their weekly savings and members' welfare. And they've given me that for new entrants, 15,000, then for old ones, annual, we pay 10,000. So their cash is collected during their city, to collect cash. And I said they still use the local method for still put their money in cash box. Then I've got the credit risk management. They revealed that about 90% of the respondents do agree they have good standards, the policy that are set for borrowing money, which there is few complaints. Their loan policy also, when you borrow, they put down your details, and in case of failure, they have their rules. And also, they say that cash is collected due date. About financial planning, so after every 2 weeks is when they have their savings, and then it's there where they collect the money and they see those ones who have borrowed if they can come back. On the discussion on the impact of cash management on the performance, you have seen that the circle has good cash handling procedures. Because if we see from the percentage, those ones, they say their procedures, they are okay, and very few complaints always come. Then on the impact of credit risk management, we have seen that the loan management always they apply approved loans, so they don't give anyhow. They have given some period whereby you first need to save, then after saving they begin giving loans. So if you have just joined, the first done, because you may borrow, then that is the need. Then on the impact of financial planning, this effective financial planning helps them in future financial needs, controlling and utilizing financial resources. Then on the conclusion, one, the level of cash management was found out to be 97%, which involved 87, which involved cash management strategies like cash flow analysis, which they do, cash balances, and level of liquidity assets. Then on the level of credit risk management was 80%.
When you have 1 minute, could you just wrap it up?
Include strategies like credit terms, policy, and then approval of loans. Then they have effective planning for natural resources, control, and future financial needs. Then the recommendation. The study recommends regular review, cash flow, in order to determine the amount of money, and credit risk control policies in effort to reduce non-default. So apart from saving also, the study also recommends that the circle needs to invest in other projects like poultry, chicken, so as to maintain good cash flow and improve the life of members. This is the end of the
Thank you very much, Simon. Yeah, relevant study. I'll start with Lucy. What observation?
Thank you so much for that. I believe that everyone here is a member of the circle, and they also want to use our university. And we also use cash box. I hope yesterday. There are two things which I wanted to put. The background, I saw more I think in the background. I think the next time we do back up your claims and those issues will become citations. And then Your result only shows that majority of female. I don't know what the result is because this is a staff circle for the samples. It doesn't mean that the what the Catholic workers majority are female.
Okay, as you think about that, let's talk. Sam, please come.
Yes, thank you so much for the good presentation. I think one of the issues, I think there are international issues that I didn't not clear about. This is the ministry of industry, because that is what the regulation says. Or you are dealing with an issue which is locally registered as a county. Because then what it becomes an informal accounting institution. Meanwhile, the cycle is formal. Therefore, finance.
Thank you. I think that's a very key point because if you will be, if we don't have those operational definitions from the beginning, then we are talking about two different things. And certainly the context may not be the same, actually are not the same. I think what you meant were VSLAs, voluntary, is it still called voluntary? There is a lending association. Yes. So yes, I suggest you go and harmonize that. Yeah. However, if they are circles, then it's okay. Then maybe you need to just back it up. Yeah. Yes, Professor Locheng.
But you say that there was one way easy for this.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Come there.
You say that
could we please come back here?
And then you say you came to learn that proper citations during because now we can know if now the Commonwealth Association started in 1995. They have been here. The famous Polish workers' movement that was moving in the early 80s. It was because they were already there. Unless you're saying you produced to Uganda. But anyway. And then we say, what was it by massacration? Which year was that? Uganda was producing. Which year was that? These are parts of history. People who read this book must have correct.
So thank you. I think the best is we need to get the facts right, and anything academic needs to be backed up. You know, so that you will not be answering. You'll say, earlier on they said some Robinson said it. They'll ask him. I'll get from Walter. Then now we shall hear from the supervisor. Yes, Walter.
But the key is the net we have to do discussing. We need to look at certification. What are you going on? And then exactly the citation. Then that's where we come back. Some of the steps really need that. And then what are some of the possible reasons and why carrying but we have a discussion, we didn't say it.
Okay, I'm sure you've taken note. This study was supervised by Mr. Martin Kinyera and is right here. Mr. Kinyera, you're welcome. Yeah.
Most of the things but also I agree with you. You know, when I was presenting about that the 18 he went ahead now to add on. And this was when it was one ago. So let me just check. If that's the we want more. That's why it's not. Yes, let me know what you say for the action. But in the writing, you have 18% so you were sanction back at that. One more is the problem. Thank you for from this point for the mission and how we are working.
Yeah.
Also, when is the political analysis framework? And this is somewhere in the world. What is it used? Nothing for content. So it's missing also time. So I think we're going to the next level. Honestly, I'm very happy with that. Okay, because there's nothing also.
Okay, thank you very much. So Simon, you're going to take note of those observations and now to refine your paper. Your paper should incorporate these observations that they've made. Okay, thank you very much. Otherwise, thank you and congratulations. Yeah, thank you. All right, our next presenter is supposed to be someone from strategic management. Then we shall now have Elio Jaga, who has been waiting. So we're going to have Carlo Gera. Alex, welcome.
Thank you everyone present here today. Physically I'm online. My name is Kalvera Alex. I'm a student of studies management and leadership. 2023. So today I'm going to be presenting the results of my study, which was the impact of site connect intervention on the life of the vulnerable community in northern Ghana. What's your next slide? The brief background, summary of the background for the study. I talked about northern Ghana. Statistically, and I know with experience, most of us have lived in Norway. One of the poorest regions in the country, which is backed by data from UBOS, which is 33% of the population living well below the poverty line. So this was a study done by UBOS in 2019. And then I went ahead and defined non-governmental organization and how they are playing a significant role to improve the livelihood of people in areas that they operate, specifically in Northern Ghana. So in Northern Ghana, we have NGOs like Care International, WebJ, Caritas, and many more. Like not all of them, but we know a lot. Also, I talked about Site Connect, which is the organization the study focused on. So Site Connect, what they do is they are providing productive asset financing and training farmers in Northern Ghana in order to improve their livelihood, standard of living. These productive assets include oxen and plows, motorcycles, drying machines, and irrigation. Okay. Problem statement. So we understand one of the problems that we try to insurance extension services are not the most functions. One of the problems that we want to explore. Secondly, limited improved technology for mechanization, like infrastructure,
like the assets that we are talking about, and lack of business skills and integration in small scale farmers, particularly the poor and women, those are the demographics of the mostly affected people. And then the study objectives, one, to assess the extent to which psychological initiatives have contributed to economic growth and development of vulnerable communities in Northern Uganda. Second, I want to investigate if psychologists perform the role they set out in mission and vision. The third objective is to measure the level of income change among the beneficiaries of psychoconnect programs in Northern Uganda. And the last one was to identify the challenges faced by the small-scale farmers accessing psychoconnect support. So the research methodology. In this, we use qualitative research design, and a sample of 6 former psychoconnect clients that interviewed for the study. Because it's qualitative and involve a lot of discussion. So, given the time constraint and other things that I can go into, maybe financial and stuff like that, I chose to go with 26 respondents, which was okay for the study. So I used semi-structured interviews using the design interview schedule. The data collected was analyzing the thematic analysis. So you can go to the next slide. Okay, I apologize in advance for the long one, but this is so I'm saying so the finding, one of the things were asset acquisition and diversification. So the participants that acquired assets ranging from oxen and plow, cycle and grinding machine. These are specifically 3 assets that I focused on. Given that we didn't have a lot of participants to work with. So the assets are essentially their agricultural business, and most of them are farmers. Another thing was crop production, sales, and income. So the respondent reported increased number of acreage of land that they are tilling compared to the previous years before they acquired the assets. Savings, loan repayment, and financial support. The respondents acknowledged flexible loan repayment terms offered by the organization, which allowed them to complete their loan and access organization benefits include like training, business development skills, and all that. The organization also like I said, provided training in business, savings, business development, asset care, because most of these assets are machines, so it needs care, and these clients need to have those kind of skills to care for those assets. And then also another thing, the impact of loan asset on livelihood. So under this team, this is not all, but participants they elaborate how the loan assets help them to improve their livelihood. An example is grinding machine, which clients make their income from it. Oxen and plow, motorcycles, same, and contribute to various aspects of life like buying food, transportation, paying school fees. We'll see that all in the document. So under discussion, the finding showed farmers increase their income after acquiring productive assets from Connect, especially oxen and plow, which enabled them to open more land. So they are able to open more land before they were using, for farmers who were using handholds. So they couldn't open more land. So after acquiring oxen and plow, they are able to open more land. So in that way also increases their income. So the study also showed participant income increased mostly through utilization of assets like grinding machine, motorcycle. So these are assets that you earn daily income from, like motorcycle. When you take and move to the streets, you will be able to get some money. Same with grinding machine. People, those are assets which bring daily income. And then also the training offered to the farmers help their business and investments, their business and investment, training on asset usage, savings, maintenance of the assets, and all those that we have talked about. So conclusion and recommendation. The finding was the study provides a clear understanding of work and opportunities presented by Psychoconnect to the communities that they serve. Their motivation for doing what they do and
hope to achieve, or what they hope to achieve in the near future. Also, CycleNet should strengthen collaboration with other government partners to provide more avenues to level their measure impact in the community that they're serving. And also, I have to combine all these things in one page because we have a nice page. So further research could be done to examine the emergence of social enterprises and compare their work with the traditional NGOs. Right now, we realize that most organizations are moving away from those traditional humanitarian of like you get funding, buy things and give to people. Like, what organizations are doing currently is they're looking at sustainability. They give you something, you pay something back, and you give you something. So in the long run, it makes the organization perform well. So that's also someone can work on it and compare. It can go further and measure the impact of these future technologies compared to the future forward of like maybe let me give an example. Maybe World Food will come, people around you will give you food, and then you eat tomorrow again, you go back to World Food. This one they give you something you work with, and then you make money. So someone can study that. So lastly, my references. This is just a few, and they are publicly important. So some of the newer ones are still below. So
Thank you.
anyone has concern for those issues.
Thank you very much, Alex. Yeah, wow. All right, I'll start maybe as we do, just help us understand the relevance of your study in terms of strategic management and leadership.
Okay. As a strategic manager, especially in the management types of while they're looking at sustainability. So one of the things that you do is try to measure the impact of what you do on a daily basis. So if you're not making an impact, like other people rely on you. So as a strategic person, strategic manager, I have to know that what I'm doing is very impact that we can measure.
Thank you. I'll go to Professor Bayat, then I'll come back here. Oh, there are handfuls. Let me first hear from Professor Bayat, then I come back to you. Professor?
Yeah, I think that I was going to raise just the issue around, again, the theoretical framework and the link, and also at the same time, what is the significance and the relevance, if that could be brought in. And then also the limitations. And otherwise, I'm quite happy in terms of the way the rest of the study went. And just these conclusions and recommendations, this needs to tie up with the research questions as well, and hypothesis, otherwise in order. Thank you.
Thank you. So theoretical framework, then limitations are key, then time. All right, let me first start the other side, the hands up. Let me start with Paul. I'll come to, yes, Paul.
Yes, thank you very much for the presentation. I'm having 3 comments. One, I have looked through your methodology and talked about the sample statistics. I don't know how you came to this, because I would think that as I connect, it must have impacted more on answering more on slide. So how do you 0 on the 6? And also, how do you identify the method? That is 1. 2, they have talked about for analysis, math analysis, but they don't talk about which software you use to perform math analysis. I don't know the software that you use to perform the math analysis, or else you are using your eyes test. Then 3 is about the impact. Yeah, you mentioned that those ones who have benefited from site connect, their income increases from increases. But I think it would have been better to talk about the movement from this level to another level. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me hear from Simon. Please take note of those. Yeah, I mean some.
You have asked to understand, does increased income mean like can you have increased income and still be poor?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, what is the fact that they come on outside?
I don't know if I understand the
Okay, it's okay. Let's have the rest.
Thank you. Mine, just two things. The first one is that in your, I think, background, you talked about UBOS report of 2019, but I believe UBOS came with another report in 2022, which is the latest. So relying on the other one, and yet there is already another report, that would really contradict, because maybe the status would have changed within that 2 or 3 years.
Actually, it has changed. Even
It has changed
poverty
a lot.
levels are not, I think it's no longer 33%. That come to 20.
Yeah.
I think
So
26.
when in subsequent studies, you must work with the most relevant and the most recent information. Secondly, your study was Northern Uganda. And as you said, 6 people in Northern Uganda, it has to be a little bit realistic so that you come up with something that is more comprehensive and conclusive. Thank you.
You can just respond a bit before.
Actually, the sample size of 6 was something that we discussed in this call, and something that implies that given the time frame and what it takes to do qualitative research, we don't need to really big sample size. So you advise that 6 is enough to get their experience and everything. Then you talked about this answers your question as well. You talked about how did I manage to get the 6 and how they were identified. How they were identified by purpose sample. The people who have completed a lot in the last 6 months based on that and talk to them.
Your study mentions that there are 6 former clients.
Wow, completely wrong. These are not active clients, these are clients who are completely alone. So what you measure the impact, you need to change their life, what they do. Yes.
All right, I'll give Lucy, then we shall have Professor.
Okay, thank you so much. I think still, much as we are trying to it should have been a mix. Because when you're looking at life, that's all you are doing, you understand. Like before, maybe before accessing the finance or the support inside of it, what was maybe income. And then now afterwards, right now, what are you getting? And also in terms of asset ownership, what new assets are they now acquired? Because now they are now accessing this. I think
your concern
It's okay. Let us do like this. Let's do like this. Let's have Professor give. There's some of them that may need to answer, but you can always take note of this. Yes. Incorporate it.
The problem statements also need to replace and bring out the gap that the labor issue. Because what I see there is like in general, but it's not like flowing, like why you are doing this. And then the objectives, when we talk just about the focus, we need to so I saw 4 objectives, and then was also very for you. Based on business, everything, and not really the time. So I just see 4 objectives, and I think that's why how I really get it for you, like focusing on you.
Okay.
Somewhere you mentioned this is remember in the morning they raised the limitation of which maybe you know that but because it shows you if someone raises which you say no I'm limiting myself to bring something else that one is good and then you are also going to write up on the findings although you block us. I went there. And then you also mentioned on sustainability. I hope this becomes something that work about. Because today, when you see more every project, you must first say, is it sustainable? If not, then you're just paying people for Right, so this is not a big fact. It's not yet clear yet. Then, this is just more geographical than normal civics. Why does Northern Uganda not an end? Because some people are very French geography. So, in some value may not be taken serious. Yeah. Actually, if I'm looking at it from your angle again, that's very well because it can be two parts of the height. But this study is specifically actually focus on trying children. You should have push like that. But for some people can have from medium to sometimes they narrow it somewhere. So when they wake up they are so that's like thanks.
So that means may require an adjustment. In Northern Uganda would be getting to our idea. All right, thank you very much, Alex. We truly appreciate. Wow. Congratulations with that. Let me have Ellie Ojaka. We are left with three. The list seems to be, but we are going to try to keep time. Ellie, it's 3:26. You have 10 minutes. You have up to 3:36 p.m. Good afternoon.
Presenting to you
You may need to speak louder.
on HIV viral observation and its associated factors, adolescents and young people, treatment in jobs are beginning. My name is Eli Ojaka, and this study was supervised by Stephen Pio. Yeah, to just give a brief background of the study, I'm looking at viral and I'm just taking application of viral quantity virus in the blood. And there is a growing number of adolescents and young persons who are currently taking HIV. And studies have also shown us that every day we lose 150 adolescents with HIV illnesses across the world. Now, UNAIDS, that is the International Agency for the Research came up with an ambitious package. And this package is looking at achieving 95% viral suppression among all people who are currently by the year 2030. Viral suppression is significant because it helps us in the measure of the success in the treatment of HIV. It also helps to reduce associated illnesses and deaths that result from HIV, and then it leads to transmission of HIV from someone who's HIV positive. If they have an intercourse with another person who's HIV, then the viral is less, the transmission is reduced. The challenge that we have in sub-Saharan Africa, Uganda, and even here in the is the fact that very much information about viral, especially amongst adolescents and young people. And this leaves unanswered questions to whether what is the prevalence, what associated factors are affecting young people, and then what can be done to help adolescents and young people. So my objectives in this study is specifically assess prevalence, establish the factors associated with viral suppression, and then formulate recommendations and what best practices can be taken in place to improve the outcome of viral amongst adolescents and young people in this actual relationship. So the study was used to method, quantitative and qualitative method. Under the quantitative method, I extracted data from the viral dashboard and the CPHL, that is the Central Public Health. And the figure you can see there just shows us the flow of how blood samples are put from vital facilities across the region, and then transported to a system called the system to the Central Public Laboratory. It is tested, and then the results are returned back. Under the qualitative approach, I conducted a systematic review, okay, and I used the PRISMA process. I extracted data from Google and Google Scholar with a search engine. We have to verify this feature. And when I was doing my analysis, I used the version 4.2.2 and the analysis. These are some of the tests that I conducted. There was feature engineering, I identified a variable, I used Shapiro to the market. Wrote through some quality tests, the ANOVA test, and then at 95% interval with a p-value less than p-value less than 0.5. In this study, we also use the time series forecast method, both exponential snowballing, which helped us predict the variable suppression from the year 2030 for all the districts mentioned several. And we created a database using a feature in R called R-Shine feature. Still to help predict, and this one probably about 100 districts. So the Shapiro test found that the data was normally distributed. Okay? And the ANOVA test suggested there was no significant difference because for adolescents and young people categorized in 10 to 19 years and then 20 to 50 years. So within the age groups, there was no difference in the means. So that is a table that shows the means for all the districts. The variable prevalence that we found in this study was across a choice subregion, 79.5%. And this showed us that it declined from 82.7 in 2021. Then it came to 76.7 in 2022, and then it slightly improved to 2023, where we hit 79.5. Also, looking from our time series function analysis, it clearly told us that no dispute, but every time we have achieved target, that is 95% target. And for choice subregion, this is the table that we can see, but the prediction yes, so what discussion do we derive from this? 79.5 prevalence among adolescents and young people showed 15.5 against the target that is set. And this finding, of course, is synonymous with studies from other regions in South Africa and Kenya, 74 and 70, respectively, which means we are not doing it. Okay? Then this low viral load is really worrisome. Why? Because high viral load, I mean, the poor performance of viral load puts a public health impact on the life of people. And also the fact that we are not hitting the targets is also gives us worry. In a systematic feature review, we identified some factors. Some factors that affect adolescents and young people viral load. And gender was one of them. The studies have shown that females have a high chance of suppressing compared to the males. And some of the reasons are given because males have poor health behavior. That is something for us. And I'll correlate with. And then also strong gender norms and practices related to, masculinity in the African society.
We have 2 minutes.
Okay. Then age groups, the older ages have a chance of viral suppression and the younger ones. And I think because they can take care of this data,
young people. Then behavioral factors like non-common use, multiple sexual partners amongst adolescents and young people, alcohol and drug abuse are some of the behaviors that are making adolescents here in treatment, and that's leading to poor performance. Socioeconomic factors is poverty. Actually, statistics show us that 69% among highest in the whole country, the country is at 41% currently, according to and then stigma is recommendations. Next slide. Yes, what recommendations will be derived from this study? Addressing poverty is very key to help in adolescents here a lot, because things such as business with the facility, and then incorporating economic empowerment initiatives in HIV programming will help address this. Then social support through their peers, family members, their adolescents need social support to help them become against stigma and discrimination. Then counseling and education on how to adolescents and people is one other education to help them understand their status and why they need to adhere to. Then knowledge gap and call for action and research. We're saying scarcity of information is something that still needs to be addressed. However, this study covers we need information across the sub-Saharan region, but Uganda also in other areas so that we can solve the problem. Generally, age desegregation is another one. We know that in the HIV program, we see children being called from 0 to 15 years, and then 16 to 19 years and 20 to 24 are called adults. But again, when you ask someone here who's an adult, which I say is 18 years, so there's a mix in age, and that affects programming in HIV. This study is limited by the fact that though African countries have the same similarities, there are also other differences such as institutional processes, health systems and cultures, religions, gender orientations that may influence viral submission amongst adolescents. And this can limit the application of the primary study. First, for this. Yeah, we just acknowledge the doctor for the support. My lecturers supported us.
Thank you.
The program, and then my colleagues and everyone else.
Thank you very much, Ellie. Yeah. Wow. All right. The first person to acknowledge people here. Thank you. I'll go straight to Miss Isabel. Then I'll come back to Madam Helen. Please. You're welcome.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the presenter for a well thought out presentation. So the topic of HIV viral load suppression is still a big problem in Uganda, especially in northern Uganda. And it's interesting to see how we wanted to understand the achievement in the efforts to achieve those targets of 95% viral load suppression. The methodology that you use to answer the research questions is interesting. It is interesting to see that you use the systematic approach, literature review approach, to actually determine the factors associated. This is great, but also in the future, you can explore a quantitative approach to understanding factors associated with viral load suppression, mainly because the viral load suppression itself is a numerical outcome. So it would also be interesting to see if you get the same results when you use the data, the actual data that's inside the databases collected in the database that you used, and then you also compare to the qualitative or the systematic review, because sometimes information changes, and at the time you're doing analysis, you have the most current information, and then you would use the most current information that you have to sort of understand how far you are achieving the targets of the 95% viral load suppression. Aside from that, I have no further comments.
Thank you very much. I'm sure you've taken note of those. Okay, 2 hands up before I come here. I'll start this time with Sam, then I'll come back to Paul.
Yeah, thank you so much for a very good insight. I think for me, there's two simple issues. One, given the scope of the study, we have expected the combination of quality on this level. Two, I also expected given that this is in a children, and some of the factors that were selected, they are social in nature, would require probably a deeper social analysis within the parameters on why those norms and very societal structural issues are affecting the variable suppression.
Okay, thank you. I think what you said makes a lot of sense in terms of, let's even contextualizing it, like, other than looking at it at the macro level, we begin to go even deeper. Please mention that it's an area of deep interest. And I think if we can interest ourselves in even those smaller, what would I call them? All right, but we understand them. It will be key. Thank you. Yes, Paul.
Thank you very much, David, for the wonderful presentation. My question is, I think more like a comment also, and also just for learning purpose. Could you please tell me what the right objective? In your objective number 2, you are trying to establish the pattern associated with viral load, suppression among and also in Uganda. Now, that objective, I think I'm not putting the answer, because I would have loved to see which factors are kind of associated with that. Having downloaded data from situation dashboard, I would have expected that maybe for me to be able to maybe say, maybe if, for example, gender was associated with viral load, I would have loved to see to what extent are the males or the females are suppressing compared to the males. Yes, there I would have expected the analysis. Yeah, okay, some well, we can confidently talk that the males are like this, and then maybe in terms of age groups, because like same as even was concluded, they're right from the literature review like that. But now that we're doing mixed method here, I would have loved to see both of that. Otherwise, what?
Actually, the results are there, the analysis was done. Critical results.
Okay.
All the analysis.
Okay, this must be interesting. Walter, then we shall.
That is identified the college. And then those are the significant events them to vary impacts which one have an association. Then that would be the question to answer that question.
Thank you. I'll hear from, thank you. Please take note, Madam Helen, then we can move ahead.
Thank you so much, Amy, for this presentation. I don't want to tell you what I'm going to say, but would like to appreciate you for the good flow of presentation. And it shows that you have done the work. You're not completely invested, you have also put the resources in information. And take note what I intended to do was.
Thank you very much. I will not disturb the rest. Thank you very much, Ellie. This was good. Congratulations. Thank you. All right. In the interest of gender balance, I'm going to have to call a lady. Then we should go back to a guy. Chiro Sandra Komatech. You're welcome. Okay. Thank you. Let's sorry. We have then after Sandra, Cyrus should prepare. Ellie, you were supervised by Dr. Stephen Ophir. Okay. I'm not sure whether he managed to log in this morning there. All right. Okay. We shall proceed. Well, Sandra, you are welcome. It is now, wow, 14 minutes to 4. You have 10 minutes. Please, you may start. Good afternoon.
My topic was an analysis of the impact of agricultural exports on economic growth of Uganda. Background of my study, I defined economic growth.
Let's go ahead. An analysis of the impact of agricultural exports on economic growth. Okay. Let's proceed. You can go, you keep talking, don't worry, the slide may find you on the way.
I started by defining economic growth as an increase in the size of a country's economy over a period of time. The size of an economy is typically measured by the total production of goods and services in the economy, which is called the gross domestic product. This was defined by the Reserve Bank of Australia. After more than 2 years of pandemic, the Russian Federation's invasion of Ukraine and its global effects on commodity markets, supply chains, inflation and financial conditions are stifling the slowdown in global growth. This has the result of making socio-economic and environmental challenges such as a high population growth, climate changes that impact food security, and large income disparities. Entrepreneurial success is often hampered by multiple challenges such as a lack of skilled labor, low innovation and sufficient competitiveness, non-tariff barriers and poor knowledge of exports and product standards. And that is why I decided to do a study on the impact of agricultural exports on the economic growth. My statement of the problem: over the last 2 decades, Uganda has implemented several economic reforms and strategies aiming at promoting high exports to generate high economic growth and welfare. These have included, among others, liberalizing trade and the foreign exchange market, deregulation, attaining macroeconomic stability, privatization, and the participation of regional agreements such as the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa and the East African Community. The government is committed to streamlining and liberalizing the trade between strong emphasis on private sector development as a major engine for economic growth. And therefore, there is a need for increased government commitment to boost production and quality of exports in order to exploit the untapped export potential of the country. The government also needs to put in place measures to ensure efficient utilization of the external resources and a clear roadmap for trade openness. And then also government should also put in place sound investment policies like ease of access to affordable credit plus stable macroeconomic conditions in form of inflation and a stable exchange rate in order to stimulate economic growth that will further boost the country's overall growth and development potential. This method is found like recommended, especially the second and third paragraphs. Objectives of the study, the general objective is to analyze the impact of agriculture on economic growth, and those are the specific research goals and objectives. To investigate the role of innovation and technology in economic growth of Uganda, and then to examine the impact of infrastructure development on economic growth of Uganda, to identify the role of institutions and government in fostering economic growth, and then the research questions that derive from the specific goals and objectives. This is my methodology. Use the quantitative research basically measuring the data, and then the data was secondary data. I did some desk research to get this data, and I got it from Uganda Bureau Statistics Report 2022. And then I ensured validity and reliability of this data through assessing the relevance of the data to the research problem, and make sure it was addressing the research problem, which is economic growth. I think that's a time thing. Data analysis and presentation. This is a graph. This data presents agricultural exports from the financial year 2017-2018 to 2021-2022. As you can, from the other side, from my left to the right, it shows progress as seen in the graph. And then the top of that side shows the tabular presentation of the data. Now I realized that from 2017-2018 up to around 2017-2018, around 2020, there have been improvements in the export of agricultural or the export of agricultural products. And yeah, those are the products. Next. Then these were my research questions, and I think I might conclude here. The role of innovation and technology in enhancing economic growth. One, increases productivity. Because with the growth of technology, there is efficiency in production of goods and services. And that leads to economic growth. We have market access and trade. This is through market linkages, linking the local market to the international market. And this as well increases economic growth. We have sustainable agriculture. Innovations in the agricultural sector include interest irrigation schemes. Yeah, we might even look at the dry season, I think the country moves on. Then we have technology spillovers. With growth in agricultural sectors, it leads to growth in other sectors. For example, other industries, for example, the processing industry. So the country keeps on growing technologically. Then we have the impact of infrastructure development on economic growth, improved transportation and self-explanatory, rural development and employment generation, growth of rural areas with the industries and so on. We have access to energy. Then the IT in technology also improves. Then the next is the role of institutions and governments in fostering economic growth. One is capacity building and transfer. That is what institutions do through trainings, linkages, and the rest. Then we have policy and regulatory framework. They reform correct policies, they implement them for the activity and for economic help to those economic growth of Uganda. Then they also do research and development, and then value chain development.
2 minutes.
These are my recommendations. You have, okay, these are government. Macroeconomic stability. There have to be like swings in economic activities that are being done in the town. So as to boost income, And then we have investment in physical and human capital. Government should encourage investment in infrastructure, education, healthcare, and technology to enhance productivity and competitiveness. Innovation and entrepreneurship promotion, research and development should be highly encouraged. And then we have international and regional cooperation, that is like international trade has to be encouraged. Then we have environmental sustainability. Policies should aim to reduce income inequality, provide equal opportunities, and promote sustainable practices to ensure long-term growth. Then the last one is institutional quality enhancement. The same institutions that implement those policies have to be enhanced. For inclusively, agricultural exports play a crucial role of revenue generation, employment creation, market expansion, infrastructure development, and foreign investment among others. In Uganda's economy, economic growth is generally viewed as a positive indicator of Uganda's overall economic health and development. It usually leads to improved living standards, higher incomes, and a better quality of life for the community. Sustainable economic growth also provides government more resources to invest in public services, infrastructure, social welfare programs. Overall, economic growth is a crucial role for many countries and is often the focus of economic policies and strategies aimed at promoting long-term prosperity.
Thank you, Sandra. Wow. Now, let's go back. Sandra, before I ask Miss Lucy to come, your good presentation, good topic, really. This is relevant. I did not see a single citation, nothing, like not even one. But I hope they're there. Then secondly, you gave us a presentation, but we might have as well put it here, then we read, then as everyone finished, then we go to the next. You basically read for us. I think in the future, if you have to do a presentation, you prepare, come and, because we want, one of the things we want to do here is to prove that it's you who did it. So that means you actually have it even in your head just by seeing your spot on. That if we had not allowed slides here, you would still be able to present it to the same quality and you'd still understand. Okay. But otherwise, I will let my colleagues speak about the rest, then I'll come back with my observations. Let's see, do you have any observations?
Thank you so much. One comment, and then that's possible to read. And the very key and the very thing is that the objectives, the specific objectives, things not to be related anyway to the main objective. I need to see a topic. Because then I saw that there was really analysis about how to export. So most of the results I saw is just a way that you have to but now okay, you can do that. What is the impact of the capital export?
Actually, could you please take us back to the objectives? So we analyze the impact of agriculture export.
We talked about objectives.
So I think we need to have a flow from your topic to your goal, to your objectives. Then we shall also see them in the results. And your topic is really interesting. It's one that when you see, you want to know what's inside. I think we miss out a bit. Yeah, Madam Helen.
Thank you so much. A lot has been mentioned, but when I looked at the program was one of the recommendation. It did not break out a problem.
Okay, Professor Lecheng.
It's so wide, and that's why you got lost some areas. Because I give you all of Uganda and all of Uganda out from the activities of the country as of today. That's where the challenge is. The topic is good, but it's very wide. And we show you on the way by trying to cover the whole country, unless you're just going from some other people. It really was very much.
Okay.
Very, very, very well. Anyway, for now, that's happening. Next time, if you're going for your master's in this same kind of topics, really, so I think some of the people in your position are topics that are narrow, and so you are able to get the focus on issue. See? Focus on issue that's why another one came, go too right, and then we have to change along the way. Oh, I don't need this. Maybe these are not going to remember to know.
Yeah, thank you. Please, you supervise this project. You've had the observations of the panelists. Do you have any observations to make?
Thank you, Robinson. So the flow of the presentation needed to be clearer, but otherwise the topic is good, and the final report will be refined to sort of have these objectives aligned properly with the topic. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, okay. So Sandra, thank you very much. You'll incorporate those changes, then we can have you. Congratulations. All right. We had promised ourselves to finish like 4, but I request that we allow us have these 2 people. That means we finish at exactly 4:30. We have 1 person for business intelligence and 1 for strategic management for today. Then we will have other communications. So Cyrus, you have 10 minutes. It's 2 minutes past 4. You have up to 12 minutes past 4. You're welcome.
As the name states, I'm going to present to you my research from all of our from the consequences and the effects of HIV disclosure on HIV viral load among children and adolescents on antiretroviral therapy, case study for Gulu, November 1. So this study is in fulfillment of graduate programs for postgraduate diploma in business intelligence and so from the top graph states that Uganda grapples with the significant HIV challenge with approximately 1.3 million cases registered in 2020. That is UNAIDS. Gulu in northern Uganda has a prevalent rate of 10.3%. Then children and adolescents living with HIV encountered the formidable barriers, including limited access to the facility, transportation costs, then pervasive stigma that couples with the challenges of high viral load, and it necessitates tailored interventions for these vulnerable populations. Security plays a pivotal role in managing HIV/AIDS, and yet challenges in adherence persist due to the geographical remoteness. Viral suppression is really very crucial for us to obtain optimal treatment protocols. Understanding this context and that requires the significance of investigating the impact of HIV disclosure on viral outcomes among children and adolescents on ART. So the study focuses on understanding the impact of HIV status disclosure on the viral outcomes among children and adolescents on ART in northern Uganda. The challenges faced by these children include transport facilitations to the facilities. We have limited healthcare access and the pervasive stigma that is associated with the HIV and marked by health care resources and the constraints of infrastructure disparities across the remote geographical areas further amplifies the challenges. So this study aims to address these challenges and emphasizing the need for tailored interventions to optimize HIV care and treatment outcomes in this unique context. So, from our objectives of this research and hypothesis, our overall goal is to investigate the relationships between post-disclosure of HIV status and HIV viral load among children and adolescents on the antiretroviral therapy in northern Uganda. So our main objectives are to examine HIV disclosure practice among children and adolescents on ART, then to assess the medical adherence level after HIV disclosure. Then we look at to investigate the relationships between HIV disclosure and viral load outcomes. So this one forms our conceptual framework, whereby our dependent variables is the viral load outcomes, and our independent variables are the HIV post-disclosure, and the moderating variables is the adherence. So our hypothesis is enhancing awareness and reducing stigma and strengthening healthcare infrastructure will lead to better outcomes. So our research question is, how does HIV disclosure impact on the viral load outcomes for children and adolescents living with HIV in northern Uganda? So this is the methodologies I used. I used the research design. It was a mixed method where I used both quantitative and qualitative data collection, where the analysis was done using Excel, and then the rationale for using this research design. This approach allows for a comprehensive understanding of these complex relationships between HIV disclosure, ART, adherence, and the viral load. So the setting was in the facility and the community within the ministry. Then the participants are mainly children and adolescents who are on the ARV for at least 6 months. And data collections, we have done surveys, we have done interviews, we have done focus group discussions, and medical records reviews. We have also reviewed those records. Then the tools we have used for the collections, we have used the Ministry of Health tool for HIV disclosure and assessment. Then the clinical data for viral load testing, as early on alluded to that we use the CPHL dashboard to get these results for the viral load. Then for the ethical considerations, what the informed consent, confidentiality, and participant safety was prioritized throughout the research process. So this is our presentation and analysis and interpretations of the results. For the quantitative findings, we looked at the associations between HIV disclosure and the viral load. So I used chi-square test to show it showed a significant association of p-value which is less than 0.05. But further, I went to do a logistic regression, suggested a very weak statistical insignificant relationship, indicating some complexity, because if you look at the disclosure, I might not be disclosed to, but I may adhere to treatment very well. Like most things children are not disclosed to, they say, I'm taking this medication simply because it keeps some disease which the parents might have told them. So the child might adhere to drugs, not knowing mistaking the drugs for ARV. So we look at the role of medical adherence on the viral load outcome. So there was a very strong correlation between adherence and viral load outcome. The p-value was really very small, and it's really significant. Then I also use a simplified linear regression model to explain the approximations of 32.7% variations in the viral load. To mean that adherence contributes to 32% of the viral load outcomes among the children and the adolescents. So this is the output of our linear regression model. And as you can see, this is one
3 minutes left.
we use the qualitative insights for to do the triangulation of the facility data and the community data. So that is our quantitative output. From the positive experience of disclosure, we have quotes from participants highlighting the positive impact of disclosure on their well-being and support system. This is what one of the participants had to say. Disclosure was the hardest thing I ever did, but it was also the best. My family support has been very incredible. Then we look also at the challenges in adherence. There is a divergent experience in regarding adherence. Some found it easy, while others faced difficulties. And here is the community, the voices from the community. Taking my medications every day is just part of my routine. Now, it's not always easy, but I know I have to stay healthy. So from the post-disclosure effect, we have realized that only 61% of those children who have been disclosed to have viral suppression, which is way much below what Eddie has presented before that. The UN goal of 2030 suggests that the viral rate should be at 95%. So disclosure has attributed to 32.72% of the viral load net suppressions. So our main finding of HIV disclosure and viral load, we look at positive associations between HIV disclosure and viral load suppressions. And there's some complex relationships highlighted by the logistic regressions. When we look at the medical adherence, there is a strong correlation between adherence and viral load outcomes. Because if you're there very well to your treatment, you're really, your viral load will be suppressed. Then we look at the social demographic factors, gender, age, education, and religion significantly associated with the virological suppressions. Because from my report, I looked at all the subgroups analysis for the social demographic factors. Then the key takeaways are encouraging disclosure, enhance viral load outcomes. Then we look at the medical adherence is critical for successful HIV management. Then social demographic factors impact on virological suppressions. Then the limitations for this study is observational designs limit the causal conclusions. Then the small sample size and the specific settings, because they limit only to Bulu, might have impact on the generalizations of this data. Then the reasons for non-disclosure was not explored. Then self-report bias, reliance on self-reporting, like as you see from the qualitative data, what people have been saying. So the conclusion recommendations and areas for further research. When I look at the conclusion, disclosure dynamics, findings suggest a nuanced relationship between HIV disclosure and viral load outcomes. Then the adherence impact, I looked at the adherence to antiretroviral therapy emerges as a critical factor for influencing viral load. Then the social demographic influences, gender and education status influence viral load outcomes. Because from these studies, also I concur with the ending, it shows that females have better suppression than the male non because of the social demographic factors. Then the recommendation, we are doing integrated interventions, develop programs for addressing both HIV disclosure and adherence. Then the community support, implement community-based support for open discussions and practical assistance. Then we do targeted educations. We educate healthcare providers on tailored interventions based on social demographics factors. Then areas for further research, we are doing longitudinal studies where we have to investigate the temporal dynamics of disclosure impacts. Then qualitative exploration, we need to explore live experiences for deeper insight. Then the comparative analysis, we need to compare regions. We shouldn't just conclude that adherence is one of the major factors in the viral suppression.
So as you do that 30 seconds, it's already, yeah, just 15 seconds, please. Just
implications for the stakeholders. So the healthcare providers, we have to look at the tailored interventions, considering the social demographic, emphasizing on adherence. Then for policymakers, we have to look at integrated community-based support in healthcare policies. Then for community organizations, we need to do a lot of collaborations and effective awareness to mitigate. So these are the references, and thank you so much for listening.
thank you, Cyrus. Thank you. Wow, where do we start from? Professor Lecheng, let me start with you today.
Thank you very much. There is something that we are quite early and which we are doing early. And we talk so much about things. Is there no reference to the world that we have? We also need to the effect of what we have. The tool is an
Okay,
there is nothing we just need.
there is absolutely nothing to the next to.
Okay, it's okay.
Yes, the work we do the report to the students that come to have to do with that. No, so you can
Negotiate.
All right, let me have Fred.
Thank you. Cyrus, you interchanged between the district and the city. I mean, Gulu, you talked about Gulu, but in your topic, it is just Gulu in Northern. Which Gulu in particular? Is it the city or Gulu district? Just to come out very clear in your topic.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because for the student, we have to do that.
Okay, we need to make that clear then. Yes, Paul?
Just like the word Federal Community, I look at the map seems to highlight
Hello.
the streets.
Mm.
We can see everyone Uganda. Maybe they are just like
Unless you meant Greater Gulu.
This is not only the main hub, and the people surrounding are the people who pick their fields within those districts, and also the amount of sample size. So, like you see those neighboring districts, they keep the pattern, the pick fields within the district.
No, but it is still very busy.
Yeah, it means
The
the
map is still busy. We cannot just
Yes, I'm coming to you, madam. Oh, there's still hands up here. Okay, Peace, I'll be coming back to you. I started early, then I got to Walter.
Share the consequences and
Actually, yes, you bring up a good point. I think when we are writing our topics for research, sometimes we want all the words, but it's actually nicer if you can have it as short as possible. If two things, one, in one topic, you cannot have two words that are almost similar. That's one. Or mean the same thing. Or complete opposite synonyms. I think consequences and effects, it's even already biasing, by the way. If it's a paper that we are sending, if we are to send this now for publication, we may, because that already biases, but then in this case, we may need to pick one. I think he's right on us having two of them. Yeah.
That's the implication.
Yeah. Okay. It's okay, Pepper, you could work on that before you submit. Yes, Walter? Okay. All right, okay. Peace, you supervise this project. It's good. I would like to see what you have to say.
Thank you, Robinson. I have no further comments. I would like to thank everyone that has given comments here. The students' methodology answers the research question well. We can adjust the topic so that it is clearer for us to understand. Thank you.
It's okay. Thank you very much. So, Cyrus, thank you and congratulations. You have some? Yeah, please.
Yes. Yeah. So, did you get consent from them or
Okay, we have from the, I said we have informed consent from their parents. Because I worked in a project where before we access the education, they have to consent. If their parents, if their child is beyond 12 years, have to assent, to by their parents. Yeah.
And I think if I mentioned, it's even secondary data, is it? Primary data. All right, it's okay. So hopefully that is tied in. I know we should have it. So thank you very much. All right. Teddy Yeko, Strategic Management and Leadership. You're welcome. Good evening.
I am happy to be part of this team and present there. My name is Anita Tobi. I still say, student of Strategic Management and Leadership. 2022 very good. My topic is the crucial role of management support in fostering psychological well-being and resilience among employees. The case study. I was one of the years ago before I was visited by the number of the clients and the sort of them. And I said, now, the information should I do? So I can't get the information there. So looking at the background of my topic, I said, today's one of the ones take a toll on employees, psychological well-being and resilience. That has been supported by about 2009 and 2002 and well and others 2015. One critical factor that we have for employees' psychological well-being and resilience support, which is being provided by their supervisors. I have a problem section. I would say the modern workforce faces numerous challenges, including increased stress, burnout, and reduced psychological well-being. By 2009. This can have adverse effect on performance. That performance and individual performance or satisfaction and organizational success. However, there is a need for comprehensive research to understand the role of management support in fostering psychological well-being and resilience among employees, especially in the district and in the city. The role that Next. The objective of the activity is one of the objectives is to examine the relationship between management support and employee psychological well-being. Two, to investigate the impact of management support on the employee's resilience in the workplace. Then three, to assess the relationship between employees' job satisfaction and performance. Other hypotheses. One, they said high levels of management support will be associated with improved psychological well-being. So you realize that once you are being supported by your manager or your supervisor at your workplace, you will have a higher chance to differ. as per the organizational goal. 2, high level of management support will be associated with high level of employee resilience. And then 3, high level of job satisfaction will be associated with high level of performance. Yes, explain that. Another methods for the methodology, they say the study addressed the conventional sample size using qualitative and quantitative approach, which is the mix. Then the study was limited to a sample size of 12 respondents chosen from an accessible selection. Then data was organized and analyzed through Excel. The instruments were a set of self-administered structured questionnaires to collect information from the alleged employees and the leaders and the administrators. And then the questionnaires to obtain the information. We have the presentation and analysis. The objective is to determine how management support affects the employees' psychological well-being. Our virtual analysis was to explore the relationship between the variables. A total of 19 observations were collected. Earlier on, I mentioned 20, but one of the respondents did not mark optic entry. So it came to 19 respondents. So I said, this was now part of the report because I was measuring the resilience, the management support against the psychological well-being, then against resilience and according to objective general. So I'm saying under management versus resilience and 20% of the respondents agree. 20% strongly agree that when they are supported by their management, from their partners, they can psychologically be okay and function to deliver quality. And then 8% strongly disagree, 12% disagree, and then people who are not sure, the respondents who are not sure of whether they are being supported or not, or whether they are being, if they support them, they will be able to deliver, they are 16%, and those who agree, they are 44%, the highest number of the respondents. Next. As a emotional well-being, I use graph and just the percentage also against them. It is 70%, not sure, 18%, very true, not true, under 18, under very true, 18%, and sometimes true, that is the highest, and often true, the 13%, and very true, only 15%. On other findings and results, I said correlational analysis. Correlation between the variables and objective 1 is 0.0, indicating a moderate positive relationship between the two variables. Objective 2 is management and resilience, which is 0.22, indicating a moderate positive relationship. When management supports the workers, somehow the relationship between them, between the manager and the leaders, is moderate, not very strong. And then under objective 3, it is 0.7, indicating a positive relationship between the two variables. All these results align with the hypothesis that the dependent variables and the independent variables possibly, though with varying degrees, to some extent, can affect one to the other. In conclusion, the study provides evidence of the post-graduate relationship between dependent variables and dependent variables in all of them. But however, it's important to note that the regression model explains only a portion of the total variability in the employees' well-being, resilience, and other factors. They also contribute to employees' well-being. The recommendation is based on this, the above, organizations may consider investing in enhanced regulatory support to organizing its potential prospective labs and employees' psychological well-being. And then further research could explore additional variables that may influence employees' psychological well-being other than management. Thank you so much. These are the questions. The report. Thank you so much. I want to thank my advisor in this session, Mr. Dr. Lanto, for this providing all the lecturers.
Thank you, Teddy. Our last presenter of the day. Your supervisor is actually in attendance, but somehow, so don't worry. All right, Teddy, thank you. You did strategic management and leadership. Psychology, management support in simple, ordinary terms for a layman. You're a manager. What is management support that will help? Give us those small nitty-gritties that will be involved here. Thank you.
The simplest one I can explain for the layman, the assistant, the manager for it,
what are some of those that your paper proposes? What are the forms of support that you proposed in this study that are crucial?
One of them is providing trainings, appreciating towards maybe giving some skills forward to workers or the employees, and maybe kind of using the burnout, the stress, giving that period to someone, maybe give it.
Thank you. I'm not sure whether it's read in your paper. Your paper is very relevant. Your paper resonates a lot with what this university stands for, which is psychological well-being. Nobody has yet done a study that looks at management and psychological well-being. We've been doing a lot of counseling. We've been focusing a lot on psychology and not that integration. How I wish, and in your paper, if you still have time, that you integrate, bring in those vivid examples and practical incidences that are easily, let's say, for operationalization. It will make your paper very relevant, and it's something that I think as a university we can stand with and would want to even publish because it resonates with our identity. I think so. I'll come to you, please. Let me come to Madam Helen. She's the final, so all of us will give our remarks. Madam Helen.
Endless.
Okay, there's someone speaking online. Sure, got your money. Let me just mute it. Okay, please, Madam Helen.
Thank you so much, David, for the good presentation. I have realized the flow of your presentation. The link, make references to the source of information right here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Helen. I'll come to Lucy. I'll go to Madam Peace, then I'll come back to you, Professor. Yes, Lucy.
Okay. Thank you, David, for talking. I feel your work is very interesting because it's important for managers to consider
Please speak up for the second. Speak up.
What I was saying, this study is very interesting because, like Robinson has already mentioned, management plays a very key role in determining the organizational well-being of staff because people spend most of their time at workplaces, go back home in the evening when it's so if you do not have management support, all you have is stressful problems and it can really affect and how you do the day. So I was really interested in what so I just wanted to do my comment just generally because I saw the slides some of the students are which I don't know just some of them move sessions. Another bullet is another one. And then still on what was saying, what would you recommend, for instance, for an institution like university?
Would you like to answer? Oh, okay. You first internalize. Let's get everything. Yes, Fred.
Thank you. I have two areas of concern. The first one is the topic. So when we talk about Laro division, which unit especially that because they are different functional units, it's not very clear. And then secondly, when you about the methodology, you said the study was limited to a sample size of 20 respondents chosen from accessible population. So what is the population? And how, because you should have a basis of choosing the sample and not just by accessible population. So maybe you can clarify on that. Thank you.
Well, I think even before we go beyond, I think at the beginning we had really, we had advised everyone to get a case, get an organization. It gives you a study context, which in this case, we see as lacking a bit, the context bit. You might have already gone far with your supervisor, but I think a qualitative study may give this study more meaning than even the quantitative one. But let me first ask, please, you have any what observation would you make, especially in terms of the methodology in such a study?
Thank you. So first of all, thank you to the student for the presentation. It was well put out, well thought out. However, we need to, again, as one of my colleagues has said, we need to give it a context. With the methodology, I like the fact that the student highlighted the hypothesis and also endeavored to answer all of them and correctly interpreted the correlation that answered the research objectives. I would also advise, if there's time, you can explore qualitative, the data, the analysis, just to triangulate the outcomes to see if we can identify any new information. Otherwise, thank you to the student.
Thank you very much. All right, we have, I'll start from Mr. Charles Solo.
Thank you very much to the presentation. I want to go to straight hypothesis. I don't know whether it is an oversight, but whatever was right. Yeah, there's been words. The one which was there was not having hypothesis with the power and seeing it.
That's there. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Walter.
When I expect that evaluation, I think one we need to look at how to reduce and the
Those are the statistical value. Could you just go under next? Yeah.
And so we're talking about issues with production publishing. Basically, looking at the scale and then the direction. We take two challenges. So play on this one, taking us about the direction that look at the relationship. And the issue of this measuring.
Thank you very much. Yes, Paul?
I'm not very comfortable with talking about the different things that mean that we really specify those particular variables. If we fail A and beta, I say
Okay, I think that makes perfect sense. It does. All right, Professor Lecheng.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this presentation. It's true. There's a lot of things. Actually, well aware people the human material. It's for nobody cares about their well-being and their security. And I'm happy you are grounded into your background, training for cancer. So it's benefiting that people of their needs. Maybe the only thing also should have had, maybe it's like another name, emotional intelligence. Because when everybody takes that, it's like provides us with balances that even me, I have to think about what is my needed to let the other. Sometimes there are people I'm not, because I'm the boss. I cannot handle my emotional intelligence. And so in so doing, I find I think this should be part of the integration. That there must be also not just psychological needs of the people, but all of them, employer and employee, all of them need to be able to ground in emotional intelligence.
Thank you very much. Teddy, you may take your seat. Congratulations. You'll work with the supervisor to finalize this. I think let's give a big hand up to ourselves. We have gone through an exercise and 20 of you have done your presentations today out of 26. So, actually out of 27. I'd like to thank you for being here. This is now our closing remarks. Eventually, I'll let Professor speak, then give us a closing ceremony. 20 of you are done. There's 7, I think, who still need to do this. The faculty will be organizing one more day next week for those 6. Okay? The rest of you may not need to come. You can follow it virtually. So to those who have not yet presented, they have probably the next 5 days to work out something. 2, ideally, if you don't have a retake, this marks the conclusion of the serious academic activity in your program. So you are technically done. And I'd like to congratulate you. On the 14th of this month, Senate is sitting and we shall be presenting your names, and this, whatever topic you presented here, will be approved by Senate. For us, we shall recommend to them, but I think we are convinced. I think Professor will confirm that we are convinced so far with what you've done. Now, next steps. All observations that have been made in your paper, please adjust them. I know that people whose supervisors might have already even signed. Incorporate this. In our system, usually this is what happens. Your supervisor is like the internal examiner. This panel is considered an external examiner. This panel is final. So what this panel has suggested is fine. And the panel means us and you. So what you propose makes this as well. And everyone who is online. 2, once it is done, you will have to submit a soft copy all over again officially. This time, don't just send an email and say, Robinson, here's my paper. No. Send your official email. That will be a point of reference one day. That's it. Secondly, Madam Helen, is it possible for us to get a sample of the book? Of the other book? Yeah. Once you submit that final copy, you now then have the permission to go ahead and print and bind and submit the bound booklet. As far as we are concerned in our faculty, we require 4 copies. However, lately, supervisors also need a copy. Reason, you've heard when people are presented, they kept saying, we collected data, we. In as much as you were alone in it, your supervisor is assumed to have been working with you. That's why it becomes we. So the 5th copy belongs to your supervisor. Madam Helen will bring for us a sample of what that book is. I have not heard of a place that book is bound in Kampala. I mean, in Gulu. We have not. It's now there? Oh, at Laibi, it's now there. Okay. Oh. Okay.
Now the question is, you must learn, you must know page setting. You don't do the page setting properly, the machine can't. So they just feed it in. So maybe we should have to give them the page setting. Question of the data, the question of the footer, the question of the header, and all of this. So the machine just takes that.
Certainly. I think. Thank you. But even before that, there is what Professor likes calling the finishing touches of your paper. And I'm sure we attached it to you the first day we sent. It has simple instructions, but those instructions are very important to make a difference whether your book is signed or not. Please go back through it, just see it. It tells you about spacing, what to include, what. It's basically those preliminary pages, but it's also very important. How much time do we have? Your graduation is on the 24th of March this year. So to be right here. You now, after this, need to go ahead to start clearance for that. I think that's after Senate has approved. Will it be after Senate? But the Office of the AR should be able to release that graduation list.
Because then what we have done today can be done anyway.
Thank you. Okay. So that's the assurance you have. Graduation is on 23rd, not 24th. I'm sorry. It's on 23rd. I didn't know. But official documents will come. Ours is now to present you. So thank you very much. When you were admitted to the university, the Office of the Academic Registrar handed you over to us. We are sure of the work we have done. We shall be handing you over back to them. Graduation. For me, we shall still be interacting, but I'm really thankful and I'm proud. I think I'm so proud of what we have done. Thank you very much. I will, before I hand over, but let me just, for the people joining us online, thank you. Thank you for taking time to be with us here. Professor Bayat, while you were away, we kind of rushed through and were able to complete, listen to projects of the remaining students. We have been able to review 20 students today. Quite an achievement. Thank you so much. We appreciate you have been with us since morning. I can imagine how exhausted you must be feeling. Ms. P. Saber, thank you very much. You have been with us all through, and you have also, I think you've had the highest number of students to supervise. I think we truly appreciate this. Then for everybody else, our students, our alumni, I'm seeing people who were once in this, what people call the hotspot, but for them, theirs was online. Thank you. For our students who are still continuing, this is it. This is the trend. This is what happens. Luckily for you, we have already started. These ones will start by presenting their proposals. I think it's even this month, on the 15th, they will be doing theirs still physically. So we hope theirs will be a bit easy. So Professor Bayat, just before we finish, I'd just like you to give your closing remarks and what this experience has, what you think of this exercise today. Then I'll give Madam Peace a chance as well. You may also use that opportunity to bid your farewell to everybody.
Okay. Okay. Hi, good afternoon, colleagues and students. Once again, I think it's been a very, very enlightening and enriching experience again today. It's always a pleasure to be involved in processes like this, because it's you actually part of a process of academic rigor and standards, and the way institutions conduct themselves are different, but ultimately the aim and the objective is the same. I must say that the work that has been put in by the students has been tremendous. It was clearly noticeable that there was a lot of effort that has gone into it. So both the students and the supervisors should be complimented for a job well done. For me, there's a couple of comments that I made consistently, and I would just like to reiterate this. And maybe our process going forward should be slightly different, that we also have a category just around the literature review, so that we could look at that element. Because maybe some of the comments I made wasn't really relevant. It was covered, so my apologies for that. But it's very important to, in a sense, align your theoretical framework in terms of the actual study, because that sets the groundwork and that sets the basis for the study. With regards to the topic, your literature review always needs to speak to the topic. I also do think that some of the topics were a bit lengthy, and going forward, we should try and reduce that as well. These are my opinions, though. I think that you could have a different view. Generally speaking, one of the colleagues raised the issue of sources that should be 5 years old, right? I've got a slightly different view, and I would suggest that we should have sources that don't stretch more than 10 years, unless it's a historical and a descriptive analysis. Then it's a different process that we adopt there. And I didn't see that. A lot of the sources were quite dated, but maybe there's a reason also in terms of access of information as well. But by and large, it went off very well. There's one comment, and perhaps going forward we should look at this as well, and that is possibly consider having a journal for the faculty, where all these articles that which we not articles but presentations which we evaluate can be considered for possible publication, subject to meeting certain criteria. So in that way, there's a lot of value that can be added, because I do believe that a lot of the findings and the results that emanated from these projects could be utilized and could be considered by the respective organizations, and perhaps also in similar types of organizations as well. So once again, to Professor Otem and the team and the University of Sacred Hearts as well, it's a pleasure being associated with yourselves, and to the colleagues and the students, thank you for all your efforts today, and a job well done. And may God bless all of you guys in terms of your careers and your way forward in life, and whatever endeavors, especially the students, that you may pursue. So thank you very much, and thanks. Thank you again, Professor Autumn, and your support staff as well. God bless and good afternoon.
God bless you too. Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you. Madam Peace, thank you very much. We're interested in hear your closing remarks and any words of advice you may have.
Thank you, Robinson. First of all, I would like to thank everyone that has participated in this exercise. I would like to thank the students specifically for the confidence that they've exhibited. They have been willing to learn from the first day they joined. From the first day I met these students, I have seen them grow, and it is very interesting to see how much they have achieved. But I would also like to say that this is just the beginning. This is just a foundation of what they can do in the different areas that they have specialized in. I would also like to thank my fellow lecturers for grooming these students, imparting knowledge to the extent to which we see them today. Thank you, and I wish everyone all the best in the journey that they have just started.
Thank you very much, Peace. Thank you for all the work you do for university. Thank you. Professor Locheng, you're going to give us your closing remark. You will also lead us in a closing prayer. But afterwards, we'd like to suggest that we take a group photo. We should have taken it in the morning. We'll see if we can take it right inside here. Then take it out will let us lose the memory. Let's take it right to the hot spot. Yeah.
I started the morning while standing. I am confused.
Yeah.
Okay. How do yourself if I have someone? How do you? No, people come with high temperatures, and people are not really themselves. That was a good exercise. This exercise is very important because it's preparing you as Professor Bayat said, Madam Peace said, it prepared you for the future. And we are so grateful to them because the time difference between South Africa and them is just something else. And then for them, Professor Bayat and Madam Peace to stay until this time shows you a people who value you, not themselves. They value you. They value you. And then you have so many things that you do. You want to bring down. That's why you might want someone who's presenting, and I say, if people lose sense of self-giving and they want to be dependent all the time, then what happens? If you have to say to stay here all the time, I must do what? Who will help? So please, this is a wonderful day, and you should go home proud, tell them you did it. And I thank you for participating, not only your own presentation, but also in enriching one another. The questions raised were having two things. First of all, we also wanted to understand them, because knowledge is it's not private. Once you do research, it is for everybody. That's the university has to generate knowledge. And what we are doing is to generate what? Knowledge. That's why I ask technical questions, because the people outside there need to learn. They need to learn. So that's why you are all happy. Okay, so this is what you are following. So this is what you are following. I've tried to follow it, and you are adding more of this. And you clarify it. And all this from the panel helps you to produce a better job. Why? You see tomorrow when you go for masters, in some universities, they will want to say, can you bring? Am I clear? Can you bring what you?
as evidence that you are capable of research. As evidence. So you need to present something that you are proud of. That you are proud of. And those instructions that he sent to you are so important that before you print out, let us help you. So that you have something that you're not ashamed. For example, say, can I have a copy? You don't say your copy got lost because it's too cheap. Imagine it, do something. So that's why we are telling you, correct it, so that the final copy you are proud of to give your wife or your husband, your in-laws, and take them to where to school. Don't think we just saw the final copy. So we can go. How will you go there? So that's when you produce that. So you must be proud. Produce something. I remember my first time when the people studying in the USA. What did they ask? How unedited research? And God is several years. Later on, and when I remember, they told me, bring it to the American embassy. They research paper. They did not get the paper, they research. People are saying paper. People are like, when I went, they looked at me. You know, I was so tested in that test called test of living test of foreign language. Because they saw what I did. I suppose there was one mistake which said, remember, it's not coming yesterday. Will you know? Let us have something. My dear, let us have something that you are proud of. It's not about us, about you. My dear, because now, tomorrow, the big day, this Africa is so capable of research. And then they say, you have talked so much about this guy. Let us say some sample. The truth is able to say, here it is very important for you to do that. The other thing you are preparing also for this text of the university. There are a lot of preparations to prepare now, so that you are never clear in the reasonable kind of time. Ahead of, you can't afford to lose for the Indian guy. You cannot afford to lose it. You cannot. And because of that, the preparation is not only to clarify, to clear all the things and all the details required. It's going to make sure you're doing the things you don't. There are some people who are so full of borrowing. They are borrowed from this pocket and put on this pocket. No. Give your account so that even your children will say, our mom was wearing. Our dad was graduating. Our in-law is graduating. Where? So what now you work? For what you and then you take the photos, and then before they come to your house. They say, why is the other one the way last time? Oh, now you can't. You need to have a souvenir for your son. Because these guys have the value. The logo of the University of the Secret, you will see. It has got this. It has got this. You need to have some of your own. Something of your own. So that tomorrow we call the alumni to come here. You put it on and you come and you enter inside. When you enter, people are in the gate saying that you also welcome. What happened if you also? You don't want to be back. You are like a volunteer. That is not good to go. Go the registry, you want to go down. Go back here. Start on that day. You even pass at home how to walk. How to walk. You tell them the great day is coming. So you walk. And now if you really are going to become the church, you get started because you just be and then you come not to go for conversations. You know what they are called? Platforms, which will make you look like a man selling shop. You cannot see and are not supposed to appear. You must appear like a gentleman, academician. Am I clear? And if you are what? Academician. And if you are a strategic, you must be strategically in your work. If you are analytic, work analytical. So strategically, as well as what? You must appear. And you must do it with the lecturers. They have been there for you. You have worked so hard. To start one work is not easy. It's not what? Easy. You sacrifice so much. You must be proud of yourself. And you must hold yourself in integrity and credibility. And you must talk with authority. And you must be good. You must be a good one. And so that people take care. That's what you need to be a good intelligent analyst. That's what you need to think strategically. You don't just think of you must think according to the qualification that you're going to work. So we look forward to that day and we thank the faculty for organizing this. I hope those who are there will have time for them. We will be there for them. That's what we are here for you. Encouraging them. And if you also have time to come, there's nothing bad about it. Just come around. Just come and listen also how they are about, how they are doing. Listen. Just come around. It's also that part of bonding, like we are part of what? I'm so happy when I'm presenting, I see my colleagues. Tomorrow when I'm working, you think I will read alone. I will remember you that I will follow Casamaya, but you can come and wish here. My dear, I remember you are. Of course, you are good. When I was playing in this PhD event, which took 1.5 months. I believe that people who I don't know, like, I don't for maybe you are part of the family, you are not so you have people from different parts. So I greeted them, I told them they have come to support. When I saw them sitting in front, I saw stars. The question was, how many did I see? But I was so supporting each other. Next time when the meeting announces, time to come is come. Okay? If you can. If you can. Because sometimes it's very difficult. First of all, it's very expensive for you to sit in gym. And you also are paying and then you never go to go. And that's a goes off, you always off. So, very, very good. Always clear? So I need to understand. And we will meet you again. And we will prepare for that day. I think I will be one guiding you during the rehearsal day. And it is punctuality, you must be what? Punctuality. Imagine how you walk in the door. The times that I was very sick. And the last thing was said, on top of your nose, not I. I wish you.
Thank you.
Thank you for our lecturers, thank you for our professors, and all those who have been here today for our students. Bless them, Lord, no matter how far they are. Give them a safe trip to their homes. Give them a good preparation, that is of mind and body, strength that they need. And bless all of them, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Nice day.
Thank you. We'll take a group photo right here.
Thank you and goodbye.
Those who are group and down to earth, you can. Let us see what are some of these in color. Just
Actually, you can see.
then the camera room are smiling at them.
You come here. Okay, actually, can I smile? Tell us something funny. Tell us a video or something. But not that.
Okay, folks online, thank you. We shall now be closing the meeting. Thank you very much for joining us, and we appreciate it.